We're here, day two, Vectors 2019 in Orlando. Joining me this morning, Alec Fenichel from TransNexus. Alec, great to have you here with us.
It's great to be here.
So, we're starting day two of this year's event. What were your thoughts on day one?
Well, this is my first time coming to a Vectors, and I'll put it this way, I'll be coming back next year.
Excellent. We love hearing that. So, let's talk about a topic that probably everybody knows, robocalls. How big of a problem is it these days?
It's hard to say put exact number on it, but I get at least 2 calls a day, and I hear the same thing from just about everybody. So it's getting more and more attention, and I think the FCC's really started to get a lot of complaints. That is their #1 complaint by far, and so it's been a lot of pressure on people to solve this problem.
And how is the FCC reacting?
Well, they've been slow, but really what they're pushing is for all the carriers to implement a framework called STIR/SHAKEN. And this is a framework for signing telephone calls, similar to the way HTTPS works on the web, to prevent spoofing. And that really is going to clamp down on some of these bad actors.
And so the end result for people that have been receiving all these calls?
A lot less robocalls. When you do get those calls, they're going to come in with a green check saying they're good, and those bad calls will be easily and quickly blocked by your carriers. So for consumers, you really won't have to do anything.
That's always good news for the consumer. What is it going to take for carriers to implement STIR/SHAKEN?
Well, I kind of equate it to a fax machine. Having a fax machine when no one else has one is pretty useless. So it takes widespread adoption to be useful. But the FCC's been pretty clear they expect all the Tier 1 carriers to implement it by the end of this year. And we expect Tier 2 and Tier 3 to follow shortly thereafter. So by the end of 2020, we should see very widespread adoption, and that will really cut back on the robocalls.
Is there any kind of a formal mandate as far as a time frame or when carriers have to have addressed the situation by?
So the FCC has not formally mandated anything. They've set their expectations for the end of 2019. However, California has mandated it for the end of 2020. So any carriers with any presence in California will be required to implement STIR/SHAKEN by the end of 2020.
And do you anticipate similar situations happening nationwide?
California is definitely on the progressive side, so I'm not sure if other states will follow suit, and I don't know that they need to. All the big carriers have some presence in California, so really once one does it, you pretty much have to comply. It's kind of like emissions. California does it, and now you're stuck there.
Fair enough. So aside from that, what else is going on at TransNexus?
Well, we're still doing a lot of least cost routing and toll fraud prevention, and that hasn't gone away. Robocalling is just taking the driving seat from that.
And so what brought you here to Vectors 2019?
Yeah, I'm actually speaking about STIR/SHAKEN as well as other robocall prevention techniques. STIR/SHAKEN is not going to be widely deployed for another 6 to 12 months, but there's a lot that you can do today to stop robocalls as a carrier or as a voice over IP provider, and so I'm going to talk about that as well as STIR/SHAKEN today.
So those kinds of topics are not only relevant to the big carriers, but to the voice over IP and UC providers as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. If anything, it can be even more important to them because it really provides a mechanism where they can differentiate themselves from the other carriers.
And as far as implementation, it's a similar situation with them as with the carriers?
Yes, yeah. Well, we have customers who get up and running in a week, under a week. It can be very quick, especially when you have a simpler network, single switch. It can be pretty simple.
Is this something that VoIP providers are actively looking to do, or are you having to approach them, or how is that relationship building?
Yeah, I think right now we're doing a lot of education. A lot of people don't know the tools that are out there, but once they hear, they learn about them. We get approached pretty regularly. In fact, we get approached on a daily basis from enterprises that are saying, please help me, I need to stop these robocalls. So there's clearly a market out there for the enterprises, and we're seeing some carriers are being proactive, and some are coming to us and saying, I have a big enterprise that needs this feature, and I need to solve this for them, or they're going to find another carrier.
Certainly makes sense. I think we can all agree that we'd love to have a lot fewer, if not absolutely zero, robocalls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can barely answer my phone anymore. It's just nonstop.
We're all on the same page. Alec, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your time here at Vectors.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.